Tusimame sote tafadhali. Tusimame sote tafadhali.
Salini ndugu, ili sadaka yangu na yenu ikubalike kwa Mungu Baba Mwenyezi.
Bwana, pokea sadaka mikononi mwako kwa sifa na utukufu wa jina lake, na pia kwa mafaa yetu sisi na mafaa ya kanisa lake lote takatifu.
Bwana, uwe radhi kuvipokea vipaji vyetu, ili huyu mtumishi wako Mwai Kibaki, rais wa taifa letu uliyemwita kwako, apokelewe katika utukufu pamoja na mwanao, ambaye kwa njia ya sakramenti yake kuu ya upendo wote tunaunganishwa naye, anayeishi na kutawala daima na milele.
Amen.
Bwana awe nanyi.
Amen.
Kweli wema na haki tendo la wokovu, tukushukuru wewe daima na popote, Bwana Baba uliye mtakatifu, Mungu mwenyezi wa milele, kwa njia ya Kristo Bwana wetu. Yeye ndiye yule mmoja aliyepokea mauti, ili sisi sote tusije tukafa. Mmoja tu alikubali kufa, ili sote tupate kuishi kwa ajili yako milele. Kwa hiyo pamoja na malaika na watakatifu wote wa mbinguni, tukiungama kwa furaha, Bwana kweli u mtakatifu, na kila kiumbe kilichoumbwa nawe kinakusifu kwa haki. Maana kwa njia ya mwanao Bwana wetu Yesu Kristu, na kwa uwezo tendaji wa Roho Mtakatifu, unavitia uzima vitu vyote na kuvitakatifuza, wala huachi kuwakusanya watu kwako, ili toka mawia juu ya machweo yake wakutolee sadaka safi. Basi Bwana, tunakusihi kwa unyenyekevu vipaji hivi ambavyo tumekutolea, ili uvitakaze, upende kuvitakatifuza kwa Roho huyo huyo, ili viwe kwetu mwili na damu ya mwanao Bwana wetu Yesu Kristu, aliyetuamuru tuadhimishe mafumbo haya. Maana yeye mwenyewe usiku ule ulipotolewa, alitoa mkate na kushukuru, alikubariki, akaumega, akawapa wafuasi wake akisema, twaeni mle nyote, huu ndio mwili wangu utakaotolewa kwa ajili yenu. Vivyo hivyo baada ya kula, akitwaa kikombe na kushukuru, alikibariki na akawapa wafuasi wake akisema, twaeni mnywe nyote, hiki ndicho kikombe cha damu yangu, damu ya agano jipya la milele, itakayomwagika kwa ajili yenu na kwa ajili ya wengi kwa maondoleo ya dhambi. Fanyeni hivi kwa kunikumbuka mimi. Fumbo la imani. Kwa hiyo Bwana, tunapoadhimisha ukumbusho wa mateso ya mwanao yaletayo wokovu pamoja na ufufuko wake wa ajabu na kupaa kwake mbinguni, na tunakutumikia ujio wake wa pili, tunakutolea kwa shukrani sadaka hii iliyo hai na takatifu. Tunakuomba uyaangalie matoleo ya kanisa lako, na kwa kumtambua yeye aliye kafara, ambaye alitaka kutulizwa kwa sadaka ya kifo chake, utujalie sisi tunaolishwa nguvu kwa mwili na damu ya mwanao na kujazwa na Roho wake Mtakatifu, tupate kuwa mwili mmoja na roho moja katika Kristo.
Yeye atufanye sisi tuwe kwako sadaka timilifu ya milele, ili tuweze kupata urithi pamoja na wateule wako, kwanza kabisa pamoja na Bikira Maria mwenye heri, mama wa Mungu, na Mtakatifu Yosefu mume wake huyo bikira, na mitume wako wenye heri, na mashahidi wako watukufu, na watakatifu wote ambao tunategemea kupata daima msaada wa maombezi yao mbele zako.
Tunakuomba Bwana, huyu aliye kafara ya upatanisho wetu, alete amani na wokovu duniani kote. Alete upende kulikamilisha katika pendo na kanisa linalosafiri hapa duniani, pamoja na mtumishi wako Baba Mtakatifu wetu Francis, na askofu wetu Philip Anyolo Kamau, na maaskofu wote na waklero wote na watu wote waliofanywa kuwa taifa lako. Usikilize kwa wema sala za jamaa hii iliyo hapa mbele yako. Baba uliye mtakatifu, kwa huruma yako wakusanye kwako watoto wote waliokusanyika popote duniani. Umkumbuke mtumishi wako mwenda zake uliyemwita kwako kutoka dunia hii, Emilio Mwai Kibaki. Umjalie kwamba yeye ambaye alishirikishwa kifo cha mwanao hapa kwa ubatizo, hali kadhalika ashiriki ufufuko wake, siku ambapo atafuata machozi ya wafu katika miili yao kutoka ardhini, hapo atakapofananishwa mwili wake wa unyonge wetu na mwili wa utukufu wake. Pia uwapokee kwa wema katika ufalme wako ndugu zetu marehemu na wote walioaga dunia wakiwa wamekupendeza. Nasi twatumaini kufika katika ufalme wako ili pamoja tushibishwe milele kwa utukufu wako. Ndipo utakapofuta kila chozi katika macho yetu, maana kwa kukuona wewe Mungu wetu kama ulivyo, tutafanana nawe milele yote na kukusifu bila mwisho. Kwa njia ya Kristu Bwana wetu.
Kwa njia yake na pamoja naye na ndani yake, wewe Mungu Baba Mwenyezi, katika umoja wa Roho Mtakatifu, unapata heshima na utukufu milele na milele. Kwa kulitii agizo la Mwokozi wetu na tukifuata mafundisho yake ya kimungu, tunasema: Baba yetu uliye mbinguni, jina lako litukuzwe, ufalme wako ufike, utakalo lifanyike duniani kama mbinguni. Utupe leo mkate wetu wa kila siku, tusamehe makosa yetu kama tunavyowasamehe na sisi waliotukosea, usitutie katika kishawishi, lakini utuopoe maovuni. Bwana, tunakuomba utuopoe katika maovu yote. Utujalie kwa wema amani maishani mwetu, kusudi kwa msaada wa huruma yako tuopolewe daima na dhambi, wala tusifadhaishwe na jambo lolote, tunapotazamia tumaini lenye heri na ujio wa mkombozi wetu Yesu Kristu. Bwana Yesu Kristu, uliyewaambia mitume wako, amani na waachieni, amani yangu na wapa, usitazame dhambi zetu ila tu imani ya kanisa lako. Upende kulijalia amani na umoja kama yalivyo mapenzi yako, unaishi na kutawala daima na milele.
Amen.
Na amani ya Bwana wetu Yesu Kristu iwe nanyi nyote.
Mpeane amani.
Tazama mwana-kondoo wa Mungu, tazama aondoaye dhambi za ulimwengu. Heri yao walioalikwa kwenye karamu ya mwana-kondoo. Bwana, sistahili uingie kwangu, lakini sema neno tu na roho yangu itapona. Mwili wa Kristo unilinde nipate uzima wa milele.
Twaweza kuketi sasa. Kwa hiyo tuendelee na nyimbo za Ekaristia Takatifu.
Ni wakati wa kupokea Ekaristi Takatifu, na muda huu umetolewa tu kwa wale Wakristo wa Katoliki, wale wamekwisha kujitayarisha ili kuweza kupokea sakramenti takatifu ya Ekaristia. Kwaya tafadhali. kutafakari yale tuliyoyapokea katika sakramenti takatifu ya Ekaristia Yesu Kristo mwenyewe. Sote tusimame. Roho ya Kristo. Tukiwa tungali tumesimama, tutaendelea na wimbo wa shukrani.
Hello.
tutakuwa na sala baada ya communion, post communion prayer, then immediately we'll go to final commendation. So kindly we are requested to remain standing.
Na tuombe. Bwana, tumeadhimisha sakramenti ya Pasaka kwa ajili ya mtumishi wako marehemu Mwai Kibaki, rais wetu. Tunakuomba umjalie aingie katika makao ya mwanga na amani kwa njia ya Kristu Bwana wetu.
Basi tukiwa ngali tumesimama, Baba Askofu ama Mhashamu Askofu Mkuu ataendelea kwenda kufanya final commendation. Naomba tuketi tafadhali. Kindly let us be upstanding.
Bwana awe nanyi.
Inamisheni vichwa kwa baraka.
Mungu aliyependa kuwajalia mema ya ukombozi na kuwafanya wana kwa ubatizo wa mwana wa pekee, awajalie mfufuke kwa pamoja baraka yake. Naye aliyewajalia zawadi ya uhuru wa kudumu, awafanye washiriki wa urithi wa uzima wa milele kwa kazi yake ya ukombozi. Nanyi mliofufuka katika ubatizo kwa njia ya imani, mustahili kuunganishwa naye katika makao ya mbinguni kwa kuishi kiadilifu hapa duniani. Na baraka yake Mungu Mwenyezi, ya Baba na Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu, iwashukie na kukaa nanyi daima na milele.
Kwaya, wimbo wa mwisho. Sasa tunamkaribisha Mwashamu Anthony Muheria, askofu mkuu wa Jimbo Kuu la Nyeri, aweze kutuelekeza katika ratiba ifuatayo.
Your Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellencies, our guests, heads of states and representatives of various states, our dear family of our beloved former President Mwai Kibaki, our presiding Archbishop Philip Anyolo, Apostolic Nuncio here present, our Cardinal John Njue, bishops present, our religious leaders from various faith denominations, our traditional leaders, all Kenyans who at this time we mourn. At this moment, as the Archbishop Philip Anyolo said right at the beginning, it was a desire of the family that today's send-off of this great statesman, our dear beloved President Mwai Kibaki, should be free from any political speeches. The Catholic Church endorses fully this desire, as we have been trying to keep our places of worship only for God and sacred. I have been given the duty within this context of prayer, and while we still are to conclude the service with the final commendation, to just request on our behalf just people to make a 4-minute tribute to our former president. They will do that on our behalf. It will be a tribute and not a speech. A tribute to a great man who did not in any way feel ashamed to show his faith, and who, when he came to places of worship, never demanded even to greet the crowd. I pray we respect this desire of the family and to make today's send-off worthy of such a great man. Allow me then to invite first the family who would like to present a tribute to their father, to their grandfather, to their great-grandfather, and their great mentor. We would like to invite, on behalf of the family, Mr. Jimmy Kibaki to kindly offer his tribute on behalf of the entire. Mr. Jimmy Kibaki, welcome.
Your Excellency, Kenyatta, Your Excellency the First Lady, Mrs. Margaret Kenyatta, Your Excellencies visiting heads of state and government, Your Excellency the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, Your Excellency Mrs. Rachel Ruto, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, today my heart feels very heavy. It has been quite an arduous week, and today I woke up with a tremendous sense of sadness and loss. And I did not know whether I would be able to speak, but because as a family we have been told wherever somebody has shown you kindly good for you, you have to express your gratitude. I stand here on behalf of my family, my immediate family, and the entire Kibaki family, to say, first of all, we are very grateful to you, Your Excellency, for all the care, the love you have shown to our father from the day he retired in 2013 up to this moment. Mzee has not wanted for anything. Your government has assisted him in everything that he has required. Indeed, in his latter years, in his final years, when his medical condition deteriorating, you personally ensured that he had access to the medical care. We are truly grateful. Your Excellency, of course, we have had our hiccups over the last 9 or 10 years in looking after Mzee. But where we got stuck, the mere threat of suggesting that we are going to give you a call for further guidance would ensure whatever was requested by the family of Mzee done quite expeditiously. Secondly, as a family, we would like to thank His Excellency, the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, who has called us and even asked his and they have really sought to help us and to condole with us and to see if it can be of assistance in any way. Thirdly, we'd like to thank the Armed Forces of the Republic of Kenya. When Mzee passed away 1 week ago, last Friday, they took over operation Nairobi Hospital and at Lee Funeral Home. So for us as a family, it was almost like a double loss. We had just lost Mzee, and then an hour later, the military took over Lee Funeral Home, where they prepared him. But I must say, the professionalism and care shown by the armed forces for this country have enabled us to honor him in a way that which we are truly humbled. I have met colonels, I have met brigadiers. Indeed, I have even been saluted by generals. And I remember when I was walking into Parliament buildings where Mzee was lying in state on Tuesday, and I was saluted by so many military officers, I started thinking, wow, is this what it is all about? I can kind of get used to this. Maybe I'll give it a try. But having said that, the military in their own professional way, because I must say it must be the most professional institution in this country. They have really assisted us to understand that even if Mzee was their commander-in-chief, he was first and foremost our father. So, General Kiboshi, as a family, we say asante sana. Finally, but most importantly, we, the Kibaki family, would like to thank our fellow Kenyan citizens who have come out to honor Mzee, to mourn with us, to grieve with us, to condole with us, and to tell us pole. Kenyans, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, when Mzee was lying in state, and we have listened to stories of how he was their father, their grandfather, somebody they related with, like anyone would relate with a parent or a grandparent. And we realized as a family that the loss was as great for Kenyans as it was for us, and that in its own way comforted us. I remember thinking, at one point, because on Wednesday there were so many people queuing in line, if Mzee was just to wake up for 1 minute, I think you'd even wonder, where are all these Kenyans going? Where they are coming to look at me, to see me? Why are they not at work? You'd have probably told us all, wacheni kuregarega na murudi kazini. Because for him, work was very important. If there is one word that can encapsulate the life of President Mwai Kibaki, it is excellence. Mzee lived to excel. From the minute, or should we say the moment he left Gatiaini village in Othaya to begin his education, up to the day he retired as president of this country, that journey has been a journey to excel. And excelling does not always mean succeeding, but it means trying your best. And what Mzee inspires us to do is to do our best. So, as Kenyans, as we send this great lion of Kenya to rest beside his beloved wife, let us dedicate ourselves to excel for Kenya. You see, Mzee loved Kenya and Kenyans with a passion that most Kenyans don't know. And it is that love and passion that almost, enabled him to dedicate his life to this country. Mzee dedicated 53 years or 54 years of his life, more than half a century, in the service of Kenyans. So we can see by the example of his life that he was the ultimate Kenyan patriot. Your Excellency, those of us who understand the dynamics between President Kibaki and you, we know that Mzee was very, very fond of you. Very, very fond of you. In fact, the relationship was the relationship between a father and a son. There are times I would watch the TV evening news with him at 7 o'clock. And when the news came on, you'd even start dozing when some politicians came on. And when, he'd even turn to me and say, Jimmy, this fellow has been speaking for 10 minutes and there's nothing he has told us. And you'd go back to dozing. But when you came on the screen, he would sit upright and listen very keenly. And after whatever function you're with or at, he would turn to me and say, "Good man," or "Good fellow." And for those of us who knew President Mwai Kibaki well, we knew when he said something like that, that was the ultimate praise. He could not say more than that. If the measure of patriotism is one service to the country, then President Mwai Kibaki was a great son of Kenya. I want to thank you all for this tribute. We are overwhelmed and we are very grateful. Thank you.
Allow me to kindly ask you all to give a real hearty applause both for our president and for the family who have offered him to us. Thank you, Mr. Jimmy Kibaki and the entire family for that tribute and gratitude. Still within this context of prayer, each one of us, whatever faith you are, we invite you to continue praying for the soul of this dear father, grandfather, and mentor for many. Do not leave this place without having left your prayer. And so, within this same context of prayer, allow me kindly to invite our former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, to also make his brief tribute. We invite all of us to observe respect to our late president as we invite our leader to say a few words of tribute. Your Excellency, Honorable Raila Odinga.
Your Excellency, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Mama Margaret Kenyatta, Excellencies, Presidents, and other leaders from other African countries who have joined us today as we mourn our third president, Deputy President, diplomats who have been here, ladies and gentlemen, wananchi wote, hamjambo. Your Excellency, I know that many of us will share my plight today. My plight today is just like a member of the clergy, either a father or a padre who is asked to eulogize a bishop, but not to talk about the bishop's religiosity or religion. I've been asked today to talk about our president, but without talking about politics. I don't know how to eulogize a politician without talking politics. The family of Mwai Kibaki, led by Jimmy, we are all with you as the nation of Kenya at this very, very sad moment when we say farewell to a great Kenyan patriot, Emilio Mwai Kibaki. But then, how did Mwai Kibaki come into where he came into? You know, Mwai Kibaki as a youth, Mwai Kibaki as a student, Mwai Kibaki as an intellectual, Mwai Kibaki as a politician. The story was told to us by Jaramogi and Mwai that after KANU was formed in Kirigiti Stadium in 1960, a draft constitution had been presented there, had been prepared by the one Mr. Ojino Okeo, who was Jaramogi's secretary. And he died on his way back to Kisumu through a road accident at the escarpment. Then later on, Jaramogi went to Kampala as a guest of President Milton Obote. I found Obote was campaigning with a very beautiful manifesto. I asked him, who prepared this manifesto for you? Obote said, there are some young men here in Makerere who are very good. Their leader is actually a Kenyan. Then Jaramogi said, I want to see him. He brought Mwai Kibaki. When he brought Mwai Kibaki, Jaramogi told him, I want you to do the same manifesto like this for KANU. And he prepared with his team that beautiful manifesto. And that's how Jaramogi now invited him to come and become executive officer of KANU. And that started the journey. We know Kibaki as a member of parliament for Donholm. You know Kibaki as a minister for commerce and industry, as a minister for finance, as a vice president, as a leader of the opposition, as a president, as a retired president. And now here we are saying bye-bye to him, a great Kenyan. Mwai Kibaki is a gentleman, a man of conviction, a man who loved perfection. You worked with Kibaki first in the opposition together as our leader. How he used to lead, how he would discuss the budget and come up with an eloquent exposition of the budget, better than the Minister of Finance, and tell him how it should be done. Kibaki will tell you, these people don't know what they're doing. Bure kabisa. And when it's a lot of nonsense, he say, imavia kuku. But he was a gentleman by excellence. In the cabinet, we worked together. He would allow a lot of debate in the cabinet. And he also gave the ministers a lot of authority and power to run their ministries. So long as you do not get yourself involved in graft. The biggest enemy of corruption, Mwai Kibaki. And nobody is indispensable when it came to issues of corruption. So we have learned a lot from Mwai Kibaki. We came with almost a bankrupt economy and transformed it. At one time when we were living, it was rising at a rate of 7% per annum because of Mwai Kibaki. Of course, we have had also our differences. When at one time, Kibaki got involved in an accident. Others, opportunists took advantage of that position. We never held it against Kibaki. At the time when we were negotiating post-election violence, the stocks had collapsed at Serena. Kofi Annan invited me and Kibaki for a meeting. We sat in the office of the President Kikwete, President Mkapa, Grace Machel, and Kofi Annan. We talked and talked In the end, I said, I'm ready to come down to this point. This is the minimum. And Kibaki then agreed. So when we agreed, we shook hands. After shaking hands, the other people now wanted to come into the room to try to persuade him not to agree. He told them, tumemaliza kila kitu. Sasa hakuna kitu tena, tunakwenda kuongea na dunia sasa. And we came out and shook hands with Mwai Kibaki, and he kept those words. There were differences sometimes in the course of running the government, but all of them were able to resolve them amicably. So in retirement, we will continue to remain friends. Each time he has been an advisor to me in many ways. So I've really lost a friend. The country of Kenya has lost a true patriot, a great leader whose value will only be known with the time as time continues to unfold. Mwai Kibaki, Emilio Mwai Kibaki, rest in peace, rest in eternal peace. I bring finally also to you people condolences of the Kenyans in diaspora around the world who are not able to be with you here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, for a wonderful tribute. Allow me now to invite for his brief tribute our Deputy President, His Excellency Honorable William Samoei Ruto. Again, we request our dear Kenyans, out of respect to our late president, to give him the honor he deserves. Your Excellency, Deputy President William Ruto.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Your Excellency, Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, President and Commander-in-Chief of Kenya Defense Forces, Your Excellency Margaret Kenyatta, our First Lady, Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, and representatives of other countries present here, the family of the third President of the Republic of Kenya, led by Judy Kibaki, Jimmy, David, Anthony, and all the family members, both immediate and extended, colleagues, leaders present here, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Kenyans from all walks of life. Today, we are gathered here to mourn the departure and the demise of a great son of our country, our third president. President Mwai Kibaki is a man of great simplicity, brought up in Dunguri village in Othaya. The journey through tending to goats, a journey that made him a great scholar and the finest economist our country ever had. A distinguished public servant that rose through the ranks both in the opposition and in government. And of course, the greatest president Kenya ever had. We celebrate his achievements, his contribution, and his rich and solid legacy. President Kenyatta has been a good student of President Mwai Kibaki. I know that as his deputy. President Mwai Kibaki and his history is the history of our country. He was part of the architects of our independence. He was part of the first government and made a huge contribution. He was vice president to our second president. He laid a firm foundation both in education, in infrastructure development, and he was the architect of our economy. He sowed the seeds and laid the foundation upon which our fourth president, President Uhuru Kenyatta, built the expansive and extensive and elaborate infrastructure that we see today in our country. I also can see his shadow and influence in what is going to become of the fifth president of Kenya. Because I see the conversation around the economy, which President Mwai Kibaki was its architect, influencing the coming election. And therefore, when the history of Kenya is written, Mwai Kibaki will not fit into paragraphs. I don't think he can fit into chapters. We might need a separate book for Mwai Kibaki because of what he has done for our country. And finally, in a quick 3 years, Your Excellency, we have bade farewell to our second president in 2019 and to our third president now. It is a solemn, it is a heavy moment, but I take pride in the heritage that we have built as a nation of respecting and honoring our leaders in office and protecting and caring our leaders in retirement and in death. And therefore, I am confident that together as a nation, we can stride into the future with a confidence and on the foundation that our forefathers, including Mwai Kibaki, that we rest his soul at this moment. I want to say from me and my family, may Mwai Kibaki's soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, our Deputy President, Honorable William Ruto, for your tribute. At this juncture, it has been the request of the family at this moment, in the presence of the remains of this great statesman, to receive a special blessing. And so, kindly, still in this context of prayer, I would wish to invite the family of our President Mwai Kibaki to move near the casket as we also join at their request His Excellency the President of this Republic, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who is in many ways a son to Honorable President Mwai Kibaki, to move near the casket. We will invite Archbishop Martin Kivuva to be and lead the prayer, and at the same time we request all the religious leaders here present of all denominations, once the family is ready, to stand where you are, extend your hand, so that all of us from all our faiths can pray for this dear family and also for the soul of our former president. May I invite the choir to sing a song while we prepare for this special moment at the request of the family. Kindly, the family of our former president. We do think that the First Lady can join the President. She is also a daughter. May I invite also Archbishop Martin Kivuva to move near the religious leaders here present from all faiths to stand where you are. May I kindly invite the religious leaders here present of all faiths, wherever you are, to kindly stretch your hand as a prayer is said over the family and over our President. Welcome our Archbishop Martin Kivuva.
May the Spirit of the Lord come down. Amen. May the Spirit of the Lord come down. May the Spirit of the Lord from heavens come down. May the Spirit of the Lord come the Lord our God. Heavenly Father, we gather in this special stadium as we pray and ask your blessing upon the family of the late Emilio Mwai Kibaki. You have called him to yourself. We pray for the whole family remaining behind and the family of Kenya at large for all that he wished for as a man, as a president, and as a father of a family, that unity may prevail, that love may prevail, that Lord, you bless every family in the country as we all today pray for this family and the family of our dear President, Uhuru Kenyatta. We want to pray for peace. We want to pray for understanding. We want to pray for harmony in our families. And we want to pray for that unity in all ways, at family level, religious level, and even at political level. You're a God who comes to us and walks with us like you did with the sons and daughters of Israel, in good moments and in tough moments. We want to thank you for all the families you have given us as we all stand here, and those who join us wherever they are, in abroad, in our country and beyond, that they also be part of this wishing this country well as we go through ahead and prepare for the final elections of our August general elections. Bless the work of our hands, and especially for our young people who are now engaging in meaningful work and are working hard to make this country even greater in times to come. For our religious men and women of the different faiths, unity. For all our families, young and old, unity and peace. For all the country we belong, from border to border, peace. And as we pray this day, continue to especially reach out to those who are in difficulty, those who are in far countries like Ukraine and Russia, going through very difficult moments, countries of our neighbors, Sudan, countries of our neighbors, Somalia, country of our neighbors, DRC, Congo, and others that are going through difficult moments. We walk with you day by day as we ask for those who are facing challenging moments like hunger in areas of Lodwar, areas of Marsabit, areas of Isiolo. Bring us rain, enough rain to raise food. And as we end our day today, to journey with this great man to a place of burial, protect us from evil day and night. May your country's peace. And all those members of our excellencies who have come from our neighborhood and our friends, peace to them. We want to remember in particular way also Ethiopia and Eritrea, that peace may prevail. This we ask and pray, for you are our Father, as we call you Father once again and say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from every evil. Amen. And the Almighty God bless our country and bless the journey of our faith through Christ our Lord.
Amen. Thank you, Archbishop Martin Kivuva. Thank you, the family of our dear former President Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki. Thank you, Your Excellency, for joining the family. And thank you, the religious leaders, for this kind prayer. We would like to invite the choir to sing a song as we return to our places and asking kindly and respectfully His Excellency as he returns to the podium. Let us remember to pray for this family. We may be seated, religious leaders. Let us remember to pray for this family as we leave. Let us remember to, through solidarity, support them. Choir. And now, with humility and great respect, may I kindly invite His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, to convey to our nation his message of condolences and the family and give his tribute. Your Excellency the President, sir.
Thank you very much. The family of our late father and President Emilio Mwai Kibaki, our clergy led by His Grace Archbishop Anyolo, our visiting heads of state and government, heads of delegations, fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, before I give my tribute, I would like at the very onset, on behalf of the people of Kenya, to thank our visitors who have traveled from various parts of our continent and the world to join us in mourning, but also in celebration of the life of one of Kenya's greatest statesmen. So before I give my tribute, I would like, on behalf of everybody else, to invite three of our visitors, and I would like to begin by inviting His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya, and the First Lady, Your Excellency, Deputy President William Ruto, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, heads of states who are here present, as well as those who are representing a number of countries that are represented here. The leadership of the clergy and various leaders of other organizations that are here, Your Excellencies, ambassadors and high commissioners, as well as the leadership of the Armed Forces of Kenya, and fellow mourners and fellow Kenyans. As South Africa, and indeed as the Southern African Development Community, we were saddened to hear of the passing of President Mwai Kibaki. The news of his passing touched our hearts, and our hearts and condolences were extended to you as Kenyans. We are here to extend and pay respects and our condolences to all of you as Kenyans, and especially to President Uhuru Kenyatta, and indeed as well as the Kibaki family. We feel the pain and anguish that you are all going through, but at the same time, we also believe that you are all collectively here to celebrate a life of a great statesman. And we wish you strength as you go through this moment, but we also wish that you could remember President Kibaki for what he stood for and for what he did for this great nation. My presence here is also to come and comfort my brother, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and also to say that the relations between South Africa and Kenya continue to be strengthened in moments of celebration and in moments of sadness. And I want to thank you, President, for having extended your own condolences to us as South Africans, as we recently lost more than 435 people in the floods that engulfed our country. We wish to join you as Kenyans as you remember your dear and beloved departed president. We remember President Kibaki for the leadership that he demonstrated, not only to Kenya, but also to the African continent. We remember him for his commitment to the people of Kenya, and indeed to all of us as Africans. But we especially remember him for his leadership in uniting the people of Kenya. And for us as South Africans, we saw him in the mold in which we saw our own first president, President Nelson Mandela, who sought to unite our nation and who planted the seed of the development of South Africa. And you too have had a great president in President Kibaki, who has developed your country and who has also helped to unite the people of Kenya. May you continue remember him with kindness and fondness, because indeed he was a great statesman. And we drew a lot of lessons for the way in which he led the people of Kenya, and we will forever remember how great he was. May his soul forever rest in peace, and we thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And I would now like to invite Her Excellency President Saleh of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia to also pass her tribute and message of condolence. Welcome, my sister.
Yeah. Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, Excellency First Lady Margaret Kenyatta, Excellencies Heads of States present here, Your Excellency Deputy President William Ruto, the family of former President Mwai Kibaki, our Kenyan brothers and sisters. I'm here today to share the deep grief of our brothers and sisters in Kenya following the passing of former President Mwai Kibaki, and convey the heartfelt condolences of the people and government of Ethiopia and of my own to President Uhuru Kenyatta, his government, the bereaved family of late Mwai Kibaki, and to the people of Kenya. President Mwai Kibaki was a true friend of Ethiopia before and after assumption to the presidency, his assumption to the presidency. During his tenure, Ethiopia and Kenya made tremendous strides in elevating our long-standing relations. This was seen through the achievement that we have jointly registered both at the national and regional levels. During his tenure, our two countries signed the Special Status Agreement, laying the foundation for the Lamu Port South Sudan-Ethiopia Corridor project, known as LAPSET, as well as the Moyale One-Stop Border Post. At the regional level, Kenya, with our regional organization, IGAD, has been very active and host of a series of Somali peace processes held here in Kenya in an effort to find a lasting peace in this sisterly country, and also in the Sudan peace talks seeking to end 2 decades of bloody warfare. I would also like to recognize former President Kibaki and his government's commitment to multilateralism that I have been able to witness firsthand. His support to one of the United Nations offices away from headquarters based in Nairobi, and its first dedicated Director General that I was, played a big role in elevating this duty station. Following in his footsteps, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta took this commitment to a higher level. In the spirit of the remarkable ties that our two countries have built over the years, we will continue to sustain and strengthen the excellent relations that has lived to this day in order to fulfill the aspirations of our respective populations. As we gather here to pay our last respect to the third president of Kenya, it should not be to mourn, but to celebrate a life dedicated to serving his nation. And it has been so eloquently expressed by previous speakers. May his soul stay in eternal peace. And thank you.
As many of you know, the Sudan Peace Accord was negotiated and signed here in Nairobi, was done and concluded during the tenure of the late President Mwai Kibaki, a peace accord that saw the birth of Africa's youngest nation, that of South Sudan. We have with us today His Excellency President Salva Kiir Mayardit, President of the Republic of South Sudan, but because he has a problem with his vocal cords, we will have his Minister of State in the presidency read his tribute on his behalf. Welcome.
Your Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, on behalf of my President, President Salva Kiir Mayardit, allow me to recognize with respect presidents present today and vice presidents and delegates from various countries. Mr. President, the people of Kenya, when the sad news of the death of our beloved leader Mwai Kibaki came, my president was on a foreign trip. He decided to cut short his trip and return back in honor of President Mwai Kibaki. And as we speak, the Republic of South Sudan is bereaved, and the flag of the Republic of South Sudan is running at half-mast. Mr. President, the people of Kenya, when President Mwai Kibaki took over from Daniel Arap Moi, he ensured that the peace process that led to the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in 2005 secured the right of self-determination for the people of South Sudan. It is through the right of self-determination that today you see our first president of the independent, free Republic of South Sudan. We can say with confidence that we owe President Mwai Kibaki special gratitude for giving us the freedom and the independence we enjoy today. Mr. President, we are aware also that President Mwai Kibaki ensured that our cadres were trained here in Kenya, in the Kenya School of Government, and took some of us to Mombasa for training. And so he is a dear man to our heart. And we know that all the leaders of Kenya have always been supportive of us as the people of Kenya from one generation to another. We owe this to you, the people of Kenya, for electing capable leaders of the region. My president appreciates the relationship between us and Kenya, and it is through this relationship that we are here today to share with the people of Kenya the gravity of the shock that has come as the result of the passing on of President Mwai Kibaki. With these few remarks on behalf of my president, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity, and may God bless you and raise the soul of Mwai Kibaki in eternal peace. I thank you.
Asante sana. Kwa niaba ya Wakenya wote, chukua fursa hii kuwarudishia hawa wageni wetu ambao wametoka mbali. Asante kwa kuja kuomboleza pamoja nasi, pamoja na wenzetu kutoka Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, Malawi na nchi zingine jirani, kwa kuja kuwa pamoja nasi. Tuwapigie makofi ya kuwashukuru. Asanteni sana. Fellow Kenyans, we congregate here today to honor one of the founding fathers of our beloved nation. We are here not only to mourn an incalculable loss, but also to celebrate a magnificent life. We We celebrate a man of faith, a man of family, a man of honor, and a man who always put Kenya and Kenyans first. So my fellow citizens, whereas President Kibaki has rested and a remarkable life ended, his service to our country will not rest until the last mile of his bold vision for our country, Kenya, is complete. We honor and salute him today for his toil in the run-up to our nation's independence, and most notably, as amongst the leading architect of the modern Kenyan state. As one of the last standing heroes of our independence struggle, he had a special calling to execute the last chapters of the vision of our founding fathers, and he did this with surgical precision and a total disregard for what the naysayers thought of him. He finished the last mile of our founding vision as a nation, but he did not stop there. He helped us lay the foundation upon which future generations shall also build. But to this, I must add one more thing. President Kibaki was by all means a modest man and did not believe in loud shouting. When the limelight was shone on him, he tended to coy and hide. And this is because he found virtue and joy by doing the ordinary things that fulfilled his promise and purpose. He knew that he could not fulfill his purpose in the presence of cheering crowds, and he had to do this in the privacy of his space. And his desire to contribute to transform our country, Kenya, in his quiet and secluded space with no one watching is what makes him a legend and a man of purpose. Fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to celebrate the man lying before us using three frames: Kibaki the man, Kibaki the leader, and Kibaki the visionary. I begin with Kibaki the man, and in celebrating his humanity, I want to pose an age-old question about our existence, and that is, what is the true measure of a man? How do you judge a man after he has served God, his generation, and country? Do you measure a man by his financial exploits or by how many lives he touched? Do you measure a man by the victories he gained or how he dealt with those he vanquished? Do you measure a man by how he handles losses, failings, and tragedies, or how magnanimous he is when he bags a win? Do you measure a man by how he treats his peers and equals, or how he treats his subordinates? Do you measure a man by what he started or by what he finished? Do you measure a man by how he handled his finest moments or by how he handled his lowest moments? If you want to know the true measure of a man, watch what he does with power, how he handles his opponents, how he treats his wife and family, and what he does with his influence. But fundamentally, as Martin Luther King Jr. taught us, and I quote, the true measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of convenience and comfort, but where he stands in times of challenge and difficulties, end of quote. In other words, the true measure of a man is how he behaves when misfortune hits. And the question before us today, who was Kibaki the man? How do you measure a man who was sworn in as president in a wheelchair? How do you measure a man who suffered ill health during his first year of his presidency, and in his lowest moments, he did not give up, but he soldiered on? How do you measure a man under whose watch Kenya experienced our darkest moment in 2007, yet in this moment, President Kibaki shook the hand of his opponent and invited him to form government with him on a 50-50 basis, despite opposition from some of his own supporters. Kibaki, the man, had an incredible gift of tolerance. He had the ability to take in pressure and pain without showing distress. And this is why he was known as a man of few words. From his 50 or so years of active politics, he learned not to rush into judgment and decisions. He learned to lay in wait until the swollen river had found its course. When moments were dark, he chose to be the light. When reason was scarce, he became the voice of reason. And when hope was down, he encouraged us all to exercise the gift of long suffering. And if a man is not measured by what he started, but by what he finished, then the record must reflect that the Honorable Mwai Kibaki finished very strong. The end of Kibaki the man can only be summarized by the words of Apostle Paul when he said this of his own life, and I quote, "I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith." This too must be recorded in our books of history as the finishing line of the Honorable Mwai Kibaki. He fought the good fight, finished the race, and he without doubt kept the faith. So, Your Excellencies, fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, turning to Kibaki the leader, as we have heard from the story of his life and times, as far back as July of 1974, the Honorable Mwai Kibaki was named by Time magazine as one of the 150 men and women who would become new world leaders. 6 years later, in 1997, and 9 years later, in 1980, the same magazine named him as one amongst 100 people with remarkable leadership qualities. So the world had noticed his leadership promise. But his leadership abilities were not only obvious to the editors of Time magazine and the world at large, they were also noticed by those close to him as well. His professor at Makerere University in the 1950s, Professor Keith Ingram, noted, if Honorable Mwai Kibaki had not joined politics, he was destined to become the first African president of the World Bank. A similar observation was made by the former World Bank president, Mr. Robert McNamara, who noted that President Kibaki was one of the greatest economic brains produced by Africa. And this is not a wonder, because President Kibaki was also the first African to attain a first-class honors degree from the prestigious London School of Economics and Political Science. But how did his leadership abilities, celebrated by the world, translate at home? How do we measure Kibaki the leader during his 50 years of service to our country? At a very early age, the Honorable Mwai Kibaki knew that the biggest challenge of a leader is leading yourself. And to lead yourself, you have to be measured. You have to be disciplined and unwavering. He understood that a leader who does not lead himself will be driven by his difficulties rather than his vision. He will give in to pressure of crowds rather than the chosen path appointed for him. Such a leader will be pushed to make popular choices that please crowds as opposed to bold choices that are good for country but may be unpopular at the moment. This ability to lead himself against the noise and buzz is what brought Mwai Kibaki this far. His ability to lean in and deal with his most darkest and difficult moments, not in public, but in seclusion, is what distinguishes him as a great leader. And if the true measure of a man is determined by how he stands in a moment of challenge and difficulties, President Kibaki handled his political misfortunes with unparalleled grace. In every low moment, he acknowledged the impending danger, but chose to focus on the attendant opportunities. And two examples will support my observation here. The first happened in 1988, after the infamous Mlolongo election. During this election, the Honorable Mwai Kibaki had served as Vice President and Minister of Finance for 10 years under President Moi. When the new government was formed after the election, the Honorable Mwai Kibaki was demoted from his position as Vice President and made the Minister for Health. At that time, popular voices countrywide wanted him to reject what they saw as a humiliation and resign from government altogether. But he shunned the voices of the crowds and opted for the lonely and unpopular path then. To the shock of the nation, he embraced his demotion with grace and continued to serve the country in a lesser capacity. But his superior reasoning was that leadership is not a position, it is a service. And he was ready to serve the country in any position the people summoned him to. With this reasoning, the demands for his resignation were put to rest. The second demotion of his leadership came at the darkest hour in our history as a nation. This was the post-election violence of the year 2007. President Kibaki admitted to all of us that this was one of the lowest moments in his career as a political leader. But turning inwards, he converted this political misfortune into a constitutional moment. You cannot talk about the 2007 crisis without going back to the 2005 constitutional referendum. During this referendum, President Kibaki and his team, that were called Banana Team, suffered a resounding defeat in the hands of the Orange Team. But he banked the referendum loss as a dream deferred. And he knew that one day, someday, we will fulfill Kenya's clamor for a new constitutional dispensation. Then the 2007 crisis presented itself. At first, it was devastating, but with time, it gave him the opportunity to engage in a constitutional reset executed through bold and uncharted waters. First, and against the wishes of many, he ceded half of his government to his rival then, and he invited Prime Minister Raila Odinga to co-create government with him. Second, he needed to build consensus around his decision, and he did this because he understood that leaders do not look for consensus, rather they build consensus, as once again